Welcome back. Have you ever noticed how some words just seem to carry a lot of heavy baggage? Spiritual headship is definitely one of those terms. For many people, it sounds outdated and intimidating. It conjures up images of someone sitting at the head of a long table, making all the big decisions, expecting everyone else to just nod and follow along like a robot. But we need to talk about what this really means in a healthy context, because if we get it right, it is one of the most beautiful and life-giving concepts out there. The biggest mistake we make is equating headship with being the boss. We live in a world obsessed with titles, power dynamics, who gets to be in charge. We think of leadership as a pyramid. The person at the top gets all the perks and makes all the rules. But spiritual headship turns that pyramid completely upside down. It is not about who gets the last word. It is not about who controls the bank account. It is about who is the first to serve. If you look at this through a scriptural lens, leadership is a call to responsibility, not a call to power. Think about a boss for a second. A boss demands results. A boss watches the clock. They rely entirely on their own authority to keep things moving. But a spiritual leader is more like a gardener. A gardener does not tell plants how to grow by shouting at them. They don't force them into a specific shape. Instead, the gardener focuses entirely on the environment. They make sure the soil is rich, the water is plenty, the weeds are pulled. They do the hard, dirty work behind the scenes. Why? So that everyone else around them can thrive, so they can bloom into their best selves. That is the essence of true headship. It is about being the foundation of the house, not the roof. The foundation is the part nobody really sees, but it is the part that carries all the weight and keeps everything else from falling apart. And this isn't just a modern leadership theory. It is the exact pattern laid out in Scripture. The verse most often weaponized to demand submission is Ephesians 5 verse 23, which says, "For the husband is the head of the wife as Christ is the head of the church." But look at how Christ leads. He didn't demand a throne. He picked up a towel and washed feet. 2 verses later, the mandate is made explicit. Husbands are called to love their wives just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. True biblical headship is a mandate for self-crucifixion. It means you are called to be the first to die to your own desires, the first to lay down your comfort. If you are using a position of leadership to get your own way or to make your own life easier, you are not actually leading. You are just being bossy. Real leadership requires a massive amount of humility. You have to be willing to lay down your ego every single day. So what does this actually look like in daily life? It starts by being the most observant person in the room. You cannot lead people you do not understand. Spiritual headship means listening far more than you speak. It means looking for where people are hurting, where they are struggling, where they need a little bit of extra encouragement. It is about setting the emotional tone for your environment. If you want a home or a community filled with peace, kindness, and patience, you have to be the primary source of those things. You cannot demand respect through a title alone. You have to earn it through consistent, selfless action over a long period of time. It means being the first one to apologize after a disagreement. It means being the one who stays calm when everyone else is panicking. In a relationship, this kind of headship is about protecting the heart of the person you are with. It is about creating a safe space where they can be vulnerable and honest without fear of judgment. This is not about winning an argument. It is not about having the final say on where you go for dinner. It is about the long-term health and growth of your partner and your family. It is a commitment to being the spiritual anchor that keeps the ship steady during the storm. When we move away from the boss mentality and move toward the servant mentality, everything changes. The pressure to be perfect disappears. You are no longer trying to maintain an image of total control. Instead, you are just focused on being useful. You are focused on loving people well and making sure they have what they need to succeed. This kind of leadership is actually very quiet. It does not need to shout. It does not need to demand attention. It is found in the small, everyday acts of kindness. It lives in the quiet strength of someone who is willing to put themselves last. Spiritual leadership is a high calling. It is a weight of responsibility, not a trophy of status. Redefining these terms requires us to unlearn decades of cultural performance and look directly at the towel and the cross. If this perspective challenged how you view leadership and authority, let's keep the comments below focused on honest, constructive growth. How can we better model servant leadership in a world obsessed with power? Consider subscribing to join us as we continue to unmask these performance cultures and pursue authentic faith together.